Hey, it's Chris here, Manifest, and after 13 albums released and over 500 million streams, these are some of the dumbest mistakes that I've made that I hope you can avoid. Each one of these albums I feel like has a story in it and a lesson. And the first one that I think about is when a song is working, don't get bored with it, get paid with it. And it's the same thing with an album. You could be selling a lot of records, getting a lot of streams, it's just really connecting on social media, and you have a song that's working. And so instead of getting bored with it, lean into it, promote it more. Take it to more places, do more posts with it, play live, make more videos, maybe another music video, a lyric video, a visualizer, something else to kind of pour gasoline on the fire. I'll never forget when we were selling 500 plus albums a week, and this was my album, The Chase, and I wanted to do a new album because this album was crushing, it was doing so well, and I'll never forget the A&R saying, whoa, Chris, there's still a lot of life left in this album. I can still take another single to radio. We're still crushing it with albums. Let's not move on too quick. And I wish I had listened to him because I went and released another album and it didn't even do as good as the one that we were promoting. And this is the thing. We kind of get too big for our bridges here and we think we kind of got the Midas touch and we always want to go on to new. New. That's what all I hear from you guys. It's got to release another song. And we haven't promoted what we've got. I've actually been going through my old catalog and I'm just promoting old songs and we're blowing them back up because if the song is released and nobody hears it, was it even really released in the first place? So I want to encourage you, promote your songs. Number 2 is be brave but not reckless with your marketing. Again, some of you have some bigger budgets that you can spend, but you're reckless with it. And that's what I was back in the day. And again, I'll never forget sitting in the meeting with the label saying, I want to go to mainstream radio. We're crushing it on CHR, Christian radio, and just selling singles, selling albums, but I want to go to active rock. And I'll never forget the label saying, dude, that is so risky. You want to be careful. You can spend a lot of money. I had no idea and I just lacked the wisdom and the experience where this was the president of Tooth and Nail Records who had huge albums on rock and all this stuff. And he understood that it's very risky. And so after me spending $40,000 plus of my own money, and even though we charted, had no more record sales to show for it, and I basically set a bunch of money on fire. And we're so quick to throw money at things to solve stuff where I could have used that money to get a feature or maybe get on a tour or record more music or social media or just ads. There's so many different places I could have put that money and then I basically set it on fire. I had nothing to show for it. I remember one time we hired Linkin Park's marketing company, and this is years ago. This is going 10 plus years ago. And just because it was theirs, we spent money through $5,000 at them. And I think they just did some analytics and stuff and maybe helped us send out an email or something like that. But again, we just got shiny object syndrome and thought, let's just throw money at it when we want to be more wise, right? I could have done Facebook ads, YouTube ads. I could have bought a feature. I could have bought onto a tour. There's tours that I've bought onto where I spent $500 or $1,000 a night, and I'm literally making thousands of dollars each night in merch sales because it's the right tour, and it's literally not only growing my fan base, but I'm getting my money back right away. Number 3 is songs have to earn music videos. On this album, I Run With Wolves, it's not the most popular song on this, but we went all in on the campaign, and I went and spent $5,000 on a music video. And that video did barely anything. This song only got maybe 1 million streams. Great song and all. But there's another song on here, Save You, that's got 6+ million streams. And we didn't do a music video for it. We barely did a lyric video that cost maybe a few $100s. So my point is, sometimes we go and we make these big music videos and promos for stuff when we don't know if it's earned it, if it's the hit. And so I went and spent that money on the wrong song. I did that again on another song called Let You Drive where we spent $13,000. Can you believe that? On a music video. That song doesn't even have 500,000 streams. It was completely the wrong song. And again, a music video is not marketing. A music video is a marketing asset. What I should have done was spent maybe $500 or $1,000 on a simple music video and taken that $4,000 and put that in marketing, ads, promoting the song, making a whole bunch of cool social media content, right? Or again, got a feature, something like that. So I encourage you, definitely create a whole bunch of content and whatnot, but you don't need to be spending thousands of dollars just thinking like a great music video is going to blow it up. Yes, that can, but let's put it towards a song that is proven. That reminds me again with that label, I'll never forget him telling me, like when we wanted to go to radio, he's like, well, why don't we take this song that has already worked on radio, that is proven, before you taking this brand new song? And that was the same thing, my same problem. I was like, no, we got to take the new song, where he was like begging me, dude, you should take a song that you know has already worked to radio, to active rock. But of course, I didn't listen, and why do people perish? For a lack of knowledge. Number 4 is distraction is the devil in disguise. Some of you want to make all this different kinds of music. You want to try and do this artist, and then you want to do your side project. You want to have your solo thing, plus your band. Do you have any idea how hard it was just to build Manifest, just to build one brand, let alone trying to do another one? But of course, when I had all my big success, what did I try and do? And you haven't even heard of it. I tried to do a side project called Story Since 79. We did one little EP. It was a massive distraction. We got one hit song off of this that I ended up just releasing as Manifest anyways. Keep the main thing the main thing, okay? It's one thing to procrastinate, and procrastination is the assassination of your dreams. Well, so is distraction. Distraction is also the assassination of your dreams, okay? Focus on one thing. Put all your eggs into that one basket and watch it grow. That's advice from Henry Ford. Number 5 is focus on one market. Now, when I was doing music full time, and I still have been, I guess now for 15, 17 years, I don't know how long it's been, but I remember when I just quit my job and I released this album, and nobody was coming out to the shows. We're barely selling any records. The label was ready to drop me. This was the second record, and I was on tour away from my wife as usual, and this came out on my birthday. Again, nobody came out to the in-store signings. It was really discouraging. I was ready to go back to my job, and I remember all of a sudden we started selling records in Japan, and we sold over 10,000 albums a week, okay, and it breathed new life into my career. And so the focus was Japan. Okay, and so I had a whole career really about Japan. And sure, that breathed new life into Canada and into the United States. And so basically, like, all my income was coming from like those 3 countries. But I'll never forget taking some bad advice from someone who had me going chasing Germany and chasing the UK, chasing India, South Africa. And we started to try to do all these different record deals in all these countries, and tried to set up a tour in Germany of like this headlining tour for me instead of like doing festivals, and we ended up having to cancel it because we're trying to attack a global market when I didn't have the team, we didn't have the promotion right, and it ended up just falling apart. And then guess what? I stopped focusing on Japan and Canada, the United States, and then those came down. So again, I want to encourage you, follow one course till successful. If something is working in your market, blow that up. There's so many artists that are having success in their own small countries. You know, Japan is not that big. Canada is so-so. Obviously, America is absolutely massive. But I toured Canada for years and lived off it and made great money. Sometimes we'd make $20,000 plus a month just from touring, not including like the merch and everything like that. So follow one course until successful. Stop trying to go global until you've really dialed local. This one right here is a real special one. Don't burn the bridge that you cross to rise. Another way to say it is success isn't a solo climb. Don't forget who held the rope. What am I talking about? The people that helped you get to where you are, just because all of a sudden now you're big and now you just want to leave them in the dust. And sometimes you do outgrow people, and that's fine. But what I'm specifically talking about is, number 1, managers. And I saw this a lot with other artists, okay? They'd finally blow up, and then that manager that like really supported them, really worked their tail off, right? Worked so hard for them, blew them up. They fire them, and then they hire some A plus manager that doesn't give a rip about them. They're just another artist on their roster, and then you watch that artist start to tank. But we get these like stars in our eyes, like, ooh, I got to work with this person. And I did that, and I'm kind of ashamed of it. That like this one guy that was really working hard for me, and like he was really awesome, but he didn't have certain connections, I didn't think, but he was working his butt off for me. I fire him to hire this other manager who I thought had more connections and all this stuff, and it totally flopped. I ended up firing him as well, and then I've never had a manager since. And there's been honestly a lot of opportunities in my life where I had managers that I could work with, and it's really funny that we like work so hard to get a deal, hire a coach, get somebody to, have any interest with us, a label, whoever it is, and then we're presented with the offer, and we get cold feet because of fear, And all fear is false evidence appearing real. Fear wants to steal your dreams, where you need to have faith. You do need to take risks. There are actually good people in the music industry, and I feel like because of some of my bad experiences, I ended up slapping the hands and turning down some really good offers and hurting some really good people that I should have worked with. Okay? And so obviously you got to move on, and no one's going to care about your music career as much as you, but it's the same thing with even producers. I remember this one producer, really made a lot of some of my biggest hits on songs. And then I started meeting other people thinking, again, I had the Midas touch. Oh, I'm just going to work with this other producer or this other person. And I didn't end up creating as good as songs. And so you want to make sure that you work with some of the people that helped get you there. Don't forsake those people. Number 7, if I could go back in time, I would tour less and create more. All right. Instead of going 1-to-1 with touring, I can only be in Tokyo at one time. I can only be in Vancouver at one time, Los Angeles at one time. Okay. And I toured my face off to the point that I burned out. But I didn't realize as a songwriter, when I would write songs and upload them to Spotify or Apple Music, YouTube, instead of going 1-to-1 with touring, online, social media, Instagram, TikTok, etc., I am going 1-to-many. In fact, I'm going 1-to-1,000,000. Somebody asked me the other day, Chris, imagine you walk out on stage and there's 1,000,000 people in that stadium and you have one song to sing. What would you sing? What would your show look like for that one song? Well, it's the same thing with social media. This is now our stage, right? And so when you go to post, you have the opportunity to go to 1-to-1,000,000. Instead of just a few people, you're going from 1-to-1 to 1-to-many. This is actually the opposite of, instead of going local, you are now going global, right? And touring is great. It's a great way to build that relationship, build those fans. But for me, it's like sometimes we were doing it before we even had the fan base and just grinding it out. And so I wish I just wrote more songs and put those out there and reached more people. Because the other thing is too, I haven't played a show in 4 or 5 years. We took a year off before COVID. Who knew we were going to have COVID, right? And then I didn't tour since COVID, right? And so I have not been paid from shows since. But you know what continues to pay me every single day? Spotify. The streams keep coming in. The royalties keep coming in. YouTube keeps coming in. Apple Music keeps coming in. And this is one of the lessons I teach on my Spotify 5-day challenge, is that you want to stop investing your time in things that only pay you once and invest your time in things that pay you over and over and over. I call it Swiss dollars. Sales while I sleep soundly. And for some of you, you need to start earning some more Swiss dollars. You're trading your time for money and you're only getting paid once, where I invest my time and I get paid over and over and over. Number 8, okay, collaboration over competition. We rise faster together. You got to stop looking at all these artists as your competitors and start looking at them as your collaborators. Even when we were on tour, man, we would always compete, try and do a better show. I remember this one band just kind of upped their lights, upped their production, just kept on trying to one-up one another when they should have been doing songs together. Same here. I should have been doing songs with these people. Yeah, we toured together, but and we might have reached United States and Canada and did a couple cities, right? Where we could have done songs together. We could have reached the world. And so this is, again, that mindset of thinking differently, but most importantly, losing the ego. And stop looking at people like your competitors. The only competition is you. You've got a specific purpose. You've got a specific calling. Let them worry about their calling, and you and I worry about ourselves and focus on what our mission is. What has God called you to do? What do you feel burning on the inside of your heart? Because then you have no competition, especially when you're operating in your purpose. I hope this video has helped. If you want to attend one of our 5-day Spotify challenges or pick up our books, just look up the links. They're on Amazon. They're below this video.